Mighty Lord, bless us in this month of April. I pray that happiness be at your door. May it knock early, stay late, and leave the gift of God's peace, joy, and good health behind. Amen. Okay, item number 1 is the County Commission, the Commissioner's Office requesting the board approve and execute the minutes of the meeting, March 18th.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Spillier.
Aye.
Commissioner Brinkley.
Aye.
Commissioner Felton.
Yes. Item number 2, the Commissioner's Office is requesting the board approve and execute the minutes for the work session on March 18th.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Spillier.
Aye.
Commissioner Brinkley.
Aye.
Commissioner Felton.
Yes. Financials.
Morning, Adrian Gordon from the Commissioner's Office.
Morning.
Today's financials include a supplemental request from the Treasurer's Office in their General Fund Repair Services account for the replacement of 2 laptop computers in their office. It's a cash transfer from the Commissioner's Office to the Unemployment Rotary Fund, transfer from the Juvenile Court General Fund Contract Services account to the Care and Custody Fund for the reimbursement of a grant that paid a portion of a drug testing bill that should have been paid by the General Fund. Transfer from the General Fund to Community Development for their first quarter 2025 payroll funding reimbursement and second quarter operational commitment for 2025, less that $15,000 advance that we gave them in December. And transfer from the General Fund to Soil and Water for their 2025 local match funding request. Among the encumbrances are travel requests from the Common Police Court Technology to attend the 2025 Ohio Association of Court Administration Spring Conference, and from the County Engineer to attend the Echelon Front Leadership Assembly Training Program, and from the Public Defender to attend the annual Youth Defender Leadership Summit. There's a then and now from the Common Police Court to Step Mobile LLC for kiosk license and support payments from 2024 that were not previously encumbered, and a formal contract purchase order from Job and Family Services to Preston Ford for a new 2025 Ford Escape replacement vehicle, replacing a 2014 Jeep Patriot, which will be auctioned. Among the vouchers are $20,500 from ADP to Mike Kitchka, Finishing Edge Incorporated for a used 2022 Hyundai Santa Cruz replacement vehicle for archives, replacing a 2011 Chevy Impala and a 2013 Jeep Patriot that were traded in for $1,000 each. $805,884.64 from the Commissioner's Office to Infinity Construction Company for pay request number 18 of the courthouse expansion project. And finally, $750,000 from the Commissioner's Office to the Geauga County Agricultural Society Fund for the construction of a new poultry and sale barn.
Adrian, can you talk a little bit about the local match funding request that goes to Soil and Water?
So we approve this, the commissioners approve the amount that they get every year at their budget meeting with the commissioners. They do get a certain percentage of money from the state.
Okay.
So their annual funding request that they get from us kind of depends a little bit on what the state funding is. And I think this last year, they got a little bit more from the state. So our funding request did go down slightly for this year.
Okay.
But it usually is in this ballpark.
I figured it was a
3 to
state
4.
match, but that was part of what I wondered, is if it was a federal match or a state match.
State, yes.
Okay. All right, that's all I had. Thank you.
Mhm.
I'll move to approve the financials.
Second.
Commissioner Spillier.
Aye.
Commissioner Brinkley.
Aye.
Commissioner DeBoer.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
There's no one from town, just for it, so I'll do that.
Just so we could design.
You got it.
What's this one? The Common Police Court?
Yes, that's the fund.
Oh, the new fund, okay.
Yes.
We received a request from the Common Police Court to establish a new fund for them. So number 4 is the Court of Common Pleas. Their new LEAF program is requesting the board approve and execute resolution 25-056, requesting the county auditor to establish a new fund called the One Ohio Foundation Fund for awarded grant funding and to properly account for salaries, contract services, materials and supplies, and other necessary items.
Do we know if this was recommended by the auditor's office or is this a standard practice for
This
the
is-
reading?
Yeah, this is just standard practice for setting up a new account. And the state wants them, I think, to account for this money separately
Okay.
from everything else.
That's what I assumed. All right, I'll make a motion to approve number 4.
Second.
Commissioner Spudler.
Aye.
Commissioner Brayton.
Aye.
Commissioner DeWort.
Yeah, so I just want to go a little deeper with this New Leaf program,
Mhm.
with the One Ohio Foundation. They'll be receiving $90,000 for a 3-year period, mostly for drug testing for the participants in the class, the drug court class.
Right, okay.
So that's what it was. And it's the first wave for Region 13 to part of the first wave of money for from the New Leaf program. So. I
Thank
vote
you.
yes.
Yes.
Are there, I mean, I know you're on the board, Mr. DeWort. Were there other projects in Geauga that were funded through the foundation?
Yeah, we're gonna do a press release in June or July, but so we'll know exactly, where the other recipient is gonna be Lake Geauga Recovery Center, and they're receiving $300,000 to purchase a house for recovery. So it's still in the process, but it should be more details laid out in June or July. We'll do a press release at that time.
And that's going to be located in Geauga?
Yes,
Okay.
the house that they purchased, because Lake County already has 5 recovery houses through Lake Geauga Recovery, and Geauga County only has 2. So the next one to purchase in their thought process would be in Geauga. So.
And I think that was, I think I gotten a call a while back about that
Yeah,
and we're inquiring about it. So I think this is what that person may have been referring to.
yeah, they were trying to figure out if they could still apply for it, I think, or.
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want me to stay for number 6 or do you got that one? You got that one?
Yeah.
Oh, number 5, I mean.
It's just, the Common Police Court, IT department is now requesting to submit an application for a credit card to the credit union. They're only requesting a credit line of $6,000 in the 3 cards. So that is what number 5 is.
I move to approve number 5.
Second.
Commissioner Spudler.
Aye.
Commissioner Brayton.
Aye.
Commissioner DeWort.
Yes.
Matt Zaraki, Maintenance Department, Contract Coordinator. I've got number 6 today. The Maintenance Department is requesting the board approve and execute the contract agreement with North Bay Construction Company for the Department of Emergency Services Generator Upgrade Project in the amount of $246,645. And the bid bond submitted shall be held to serve as the performance bond for this project.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Spudler.
Aye.
Commissioner Brayton.
Aye.
Commissioner DeWort.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much.
I was sad to hear that you took another position, Matt.
Yeah, it's
Congratulations.
bittersweet, but
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Was always impressed by your work here, so
Well, thank you.
good luck in the engineer's office.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Good morning.
morning,
Morning.
Charles T. Ketch, the Maintenance Department. I have items number 7 and 8 on the agenda. We'll start with number 7. The Maintenance Department is requesting the board approve and execute the agreement for professional design services with Tech Incorporated to provide professional design and contract administration services related to replacing the existing condenser unit and upgrading chiller components as required to comply with current building code and EPA regulations at the West Geauga Senior Center for the period of April 1st, 2025 through February 28th, 2026, in an amount not to exceed $19,500.
Did you add all these blank pages in your documentation to see if I was paying attention?
Yeah.
I was like, every other page was a blank page. I was paying attention. So what do you think the estimated cost will be for this full project?
We're looking at around 150.
Okay,
But we'll know for sure once we get the engineering estimates
Yeah,
back
got it.
as to what all has to be changed out because the EPA rules have changed.
okay, so that was my next
Yeah.
question, was just, I saw it was because of building code and EPA rules. So what are we looking at as far as those changes?
Well, previously we were just going to change out the condenser, but with
Yeah.
the new codes, we might be required to change out the air handler plus a number of other of the other components and add additional monitoring devices.
Okay.
So we won't know until we get deep into the code, but it looks like those at a minimum now will need to be changed out.
Okay, sounds expensive. I'll make a motion to approve 7.
Second.
Commissioner Spillier. Commissioner Brinkley.
Aye.
Commissioner DeWort.
Yes.
Just so you
Thank
know,
you.
because this serves the senior population that applies under CDBG grant, we are going to be looking at making a CDBG grant request for this project.
Oh, great. That's great.
Is it 9:45 yet?
No, yeah, 5 minutes. So we're gonna.
Hold on, we'll go on. We'll get back to you.
All right.
So we'll move on to, item number 9, water resources.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Nick Goris, Water Resources. Item on the agenda is requesting the board approve and execute a service contract with Perkin-Elmer US LLC, perform preventative maintenance and repairs as needed for 1 year down at the lab, effective April 1st, in an amount not to exceed $12,000. So this is for our ICP machine. So that this is what we use to break down our water samples and our sewer samples. Currently, it's down and we're sending things out. So getting this taken care of will get us back where we need to be.
So I noticed the quote was for about 5,500. So how are we getting to the 12,000?
So the 12 is in case of parts. If there's other parts that
Okay.
need, so the quote to come in and do the service,
Okay.
do the, that, 1 year. But if there's actual extra quotes or
Okay.
parts that are needed,
Right, right.
we estimate it within.
Okay, that makes sense. I'll make a motion to approve, number 9.
Second.
Commissioner Spillier.
Aye.
Commissioner Brinkley.
Aye.
Commissioner DeWort.
Yes.
Thank you.
Shall we jump to item 11?
Yes.
The Commissioner's Office is requesting the board approve and authorize the President of the Board to execute change order number 5, increasing the contract with Infinity Construction Company Incorporated for the Geauga County Courthouse Expansion GMP Phase 2 for the fire alarm custom audio messaging system in the amount of $7,701. As you recall, you guys have already approved this, but this is the actual AAA form that we received from the contractor. And this is for the silent alarm system that the sheriff requested.
And do we know if there's like a plan in place on how to implement this audio messaging, or someone's gonna come up with that?
They're
Some point?
working on that.
Okay,
They are selecting the messages, what the
Okay.
voice will be, who, and people will be trained in when it will be used, who will use it. And that will be under the purview of the sheriff.
all right, I'll make a motion to approve 11 with 2 minutes to spare.
Second.
Commissioner Spillier.
Aye.
Commissioner Brinkley.
Aye.
Commissioner DeWort.
Yes.
Do you want to move to item 12?
Yeah, let's move to item 12. Because it's not 9:45 yet for,
The Commissioner's Office is requesting the board approve the rehire and appointment of Dan Spada to the position of Chief Building Official, number 1101, to be effective April 7th, 2025, at the rate of $53.14 per hour, grade E17, step 10.
Make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Spillier.
Aye.
Commissioner Brinkley.
Aye.
Commissioner DeWort.
yes.
If we have a little more time, I have a request from one of the commissioners to have an executive session today to talk about the purchase of property. If you guys are open to that, we can do that at the end.
Okay. Yeah, we
Sure,
can,
that's fine.
let me jot that down.
Should we do that after public comment, or
That would be up to you guys. I would do that after public comment.
if there's no,
Do
if
you
we're not
anticipate
expecting an
there'll be any
action?
There might, yeah.
Oh, okay, then maybe do it before public comment.
It's however you guys want to handle this, fine.
I'll just put a note on there. Okay, these have been approved signature. I have 1 minute.
1 minute before item 8.
I have to go back to number 8. So if the members of the statutory group want to come forward and get that. I have extra chairs up here, you can swing them around, so they have a place to sit. Stay.
You're allowed to sit down.
I think there's 5 of us, right?
No, I don't, because I think there's a chair for you, Renee.
All right.
Oh, yes. Chuck, there's another chair over here on this side.
Okay.
Right. Excuse me. if you want to sit, or you can stand at the podium, whatever you prefer.
Okay.
Thank you. I know the meeting hasn't started yet, but I would like to make the comment that the information in this packet is not a public record, so we won't be sharing that with the public.
So each one of you has the packet. It's right up there. I think 9:45. So we will open the statutory group meeting.
Good morning. I'm Thomas Kitcatch with the Maintenance Department, and I'm going to go over the scope of what we're doing today and just review the drawings. And at the end of the day, we're looking for an approval by the statutory group for the design of a safety center room visitation alterations. I do have the letters. I was going to pass them out right at the end before we vote.
Perfect, thank you.
It is declared and determined that all formal actions of the Board of Commissioners concerning and relating to the adoption of any resolutions from this meeting and all deliberations of the Board of County Commissioners that resulted in such formal action were open to the public and were in compliance with legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code. Also pursuant to Section 149.433 of the Revised Code, the Safety Center Visitation Room alteration design drawings and specifications presented for review during this statutory group meeting are infrastructure records of a public office and are not a public record under Section 149.33 of the Revised Code and are not subject to mandatory release or disclosure. The Commissioner's Office is requesting that the statutory group, which consists of the Board of Commissioners, the Sheriff, Probate Judge, Clerk of Court, and Judge of Court of Common Pleas, to review and, if appropriate, approve by a majority of the statutory group the current plans, drawing, representation, bills of materials, specifications of work, and estimates of cost thereof in detail and in the aggregate for the proposed Geauga County Safety Center Visitation Room alterations as required by Revised Code 153.36. We have all three commissioners in attendance today, Commissioner Dvorak, Commissioner Brakey, and Commissioner Spalding. We also have the Sheriff, Hildebrand, and Judge Carolyn, no? Oh, you're the Clerk of Court.
Do you want to be judge?
No. Sorry, I haven't read all these folks. Clerk of Court Sheila Bevington and
Magistrate Randy Taylor.
Magistrate Randy Taylor for the courts. Okay. All right, so the project is taking the existing approximately 450 square foot visitation room. It's a video visitation room that consisted of 10 outdated video monitoring stations. These monitors have not been used for some period of time and have been replaced by 3 video visitation wall-mounted phones, which really utilize considerably less space. So the goal of this project is to reconfigure that existing space into 2 separate rooms, a reduced approximately 86 square foot video visitation room which is an adequate space to house the 3 video phones, and then convert the remaining approximately 364 square foot space into office space for jail operations, health, and environmental specialists. Okay. The project consists of the removal and demolition of the existing 10-station video visitation booths and wall, structural modifications to the floor to support the installation of a new 8-inch block wall that separates the video visitation space from the jail operations space, modifying HVAC, electrical, and fire suppression systems according to the new room layout, rough-in conduit for relocation of video conferencing and CCTV, and data network cabling and connection device installations and refinishing floors, walls, and ceiling, including the installation of sound absorption panels. The estimate for this, which is attached, the total estimate is $150,700. That's the engineering estimate for the construction cost. And it's broken down into a number of work categories, which is broken down on your attached estimate. If you wanted to review the drawings real quick, the first page is just a location map, and you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner the location of the video visitation room within the jail facility. And going on to page A1, it just starts from the left, shows just a location of the video visitation room as you enter the front door. And then as you move to the right, it shows the demolition of the 10-station wall. And then the far right drawing shows the installation of a new 8-inch block wall that will house the smaller video visitation room and then the larger office space. Turning on to page A11, on the left is just what the existing visitation booths look like. Those will be demoed. The next one is the proposed wall section that will be replaced by that. And then the two drawings on the right, the bottom one shows the existing ceiling plan and then shows the new ceiling plan with the reconfigured light fixtures and also the relocation of speakers and CCTV. The next drawing, if you go to the next drawing, it shows the mechanicals. Since we are taking one room and turning it into two, we need to rework the HVAC system with the air handling and so forth. So the middle drawing shows the demolition of the existing HVAC ductwork that needs to be done, and then the far right drawing shows the installation of the new HVAC ductwork that is going to be installed. The next page is just some specifications. These drawings, since it's a small project, all the specifications are included on the drawing, so there's not a separate technical specification document. And then the last page is just the electrical plan. You'll see in the middle is the demolition, and then on the far right will be the new lighting system, as well as the new electrical outlets and the data network connections and cabling that will be installed. And as I said, the other attachment is the estimate. The front page just shows the consolidated view, and the other pages behind it shows a breakdown of each work discipline and what the cost of each of those disciplines are. That would then roll up to the $150,700. So with that, I just wanted to go around and see if there were any questions or any clarifications that are needed with the drawings.
I assume that these costs came up from the engineer.
Correct.
They're just estimates.
These are engineering estimates, and that once we send this out to bid and get the bids back, the bid will need to be within 20% of this estimate, or else we will have to rebid. So this is the approximate estimate, yes.
So some of the costs seem, quite frankly, ridiculous. I mean, painting the interior is $7,000.
I thought that seemed high too,
I
Sharon.
mean, I could probably do it for $5. But just the ceiling is $3,000 to paint it. Well, you know, two stainless steel partitions at $5,000 a piece. I think we could probably be better than that. And I don't know if they have to be stainless. And then, you know, the electrical system and telecommunications, I assume that's the phone.
Yes.
You know, $3,000 for the two phones, sounds kind of high.
Well, that's the cabling to run within the walls as well.
Must be some very valuable cabling. I hope that the bid comes in much less than this, because it seems pretty high on some of these estimates, and maybe they do that on purpose. I don't know. Just some background for you guys. You know, that building was designed over 20 years ago. And, you know, the technology has changed. We don't have people coming in to visit like we used to. Because there's other technology that they can visit from home, they can visit in the pods, you know, it's all video and so it's really not utilized to have 10 people there. I don't think there was ever 10 people there at the time visiting. But, you know, the biggest problem in the jail and the biggest problem in this country is mental health and addiction problems. And that's what these rooms are for, is for the mental health people to have a place to work. Right now, they're trying to work on the backside of this visitation in a very small room. It's a very important part of the jail. And like I said, it's the biggest problem that we have is mental health and addiction. And this is one way that we can help those people be more comfortable, maybe get some more progress. They can be more efficient, and it's absolutely needed, unfortunately. But that's exactly what we need to do, and it's unutilized areas of the jail. And I think this will be a great addition that when we can get this completed and done.
Do you have full-time staff that are handling addiction and mental health issues?
I
Or do
don't
they
think
come and
that
go?
we
Yeah.
don't have any
Okay.
employees. They come from Ravenwood
Okay.
and other areas, but they're there all the time because of the need, quite
Right,
frankly.
right.
Well, I feel it's time to modernize, you know, for the technology and the way people view their family and friends or whatever. So I think this is a good project.
And I just have a dumb question, but so we have to pay a building permit fee? Government doesn't exempt from that. Feels like you're putting money in one pocket.
We are including it in the cost in case there, you know, it is required, but we do expect a lot of those fees to be
Okay,
waived. Yeah.
all right, wonderful. Sounds like I just saved the county $1,500.
So then the next step in the process is I will hand out a letter from the maintenance department, basically asking, based on your review, whether or not you would approve this project or you don't approve the project. And then the majority approval would allow the project to move forward.
So I'm gonna do a roll and ask
Okay.
whether you approve or not approve. So Commissioner DeWark,
Yes.
Commissioner Brackey,
Hey,
Commissioner Spudler,
Yes.
Sheriff Hildebrand,
Yes.
Ms. Bennington.
yes.
Probate Court Judge Timothy Grandel was invited but not present today. And Representative Magistrate Randy Taylor for the Court of Common Pleas for Judge Carolyn Paschke.
Yes.
Thank you. If you can record your vote and sign the forms. And then we will collect those.
You're going to click.
Where do you want me to go to
You
you?
can, if you want, you're gonna send them in the basket.
Okay.
And then, we have to send those with a copy of the plans that are approved to the auditor's office.
Thank you, everyone, for taking time to review this.
Thanks, you.
Thank you.
All right, and I have the statutory group meeting closed at 9:59.
Congratulations.
I think we went this way.
Sure.
We debated. We went this way, right?
Yeah, and just put them in the basket. And
Okay.
and we'll put them all together, which I will copy for, Mr. Scotch and, get the approved plans to the auditor's office.
All right,
All right.
moving along.
Take us back to, item number 10 on the agenda.
Yeah. Discussion regarding the airport authority with representatives from Airport Authority and the Airwolf Aerospace LLC.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Just here to resurrect our request for funding for the T hangar building that was approved by the county back in December, the commissioners. And I know there's been discussion several different directions since that time. But we would like to hear it again today to request that funding for a T hangar, 8-unit T hangar, $1.33 million, of which we expect to get about $580,000 of federal funding to offset that cost. The original intent was to take money that was of the 1.33, 580,000 from the federal government. Once we received the money from the federal government, then we would use the leftover remaining funds to improve other county buildings on the field, roofs, expansions, painting, doors, things like that. So we're here today to continue that. If we do not act on this and get our final out, we cannot do a final application until the project is bid out. Currently, the project is out to bid. We had to do that just to get it under the deadline. So we have the final bid amounts that go to the FAA by the end of April. If we do not do that by that time, we lose federal funding. So we would like to get the commissioners to help us through this process and allow us to move forward.
Isn't that FAA grant closer to $598,000?
586,000.
Okay.
May I ask if you have to have the funds in order to get the FAA funds, or do you get the FAA funds either way?
I'm trying to figure out your question.
Do you have to have additional money in order
Well, we
to
can't-
qualify for the
we-
funds, or
we-
do you get it either way?
Well, we can't award the project without the funding from the county.
Separate from the project, just in general, if you didn't have that money and you weren't doing the T hangar, would you still get the 586,000? It has to be used for a T hangar?
And that's what we have a pre-application that's already been approved for a
Understood.
T hangar.
Thank you.
Yes,
Have you provided the pre-application to the commissioners?
yes. That was done in December.
Okay, I haven't received.
Okay.
To be honest, I haven't received any documentation for this entire project. I don't think I've had one.
I find that very hard to believe. Everything that was requested of us, we have supplied to this office.
I haven't seen anything related to the T hangar project.
Everything that was requested was delivered to the county commissioner's office.
I mean, I have meeting minutes, I have the agreement between, the authority and the commissioners, but I don't have anything related to this project. I mean, everyone that comes in front of us, they provide us documentation. I mean, we had, a request for $12,000 and we get 52 pages of documents for it. So I just haven't seen a single, I mean, maybe I'm missing something. Gentlemen, have you
I have
received
received
anything?
personally anything. So unless it was sent directly to the board directly, it never came through me on regard to like plans or anything regarding the team.
Linda, we've sent things in that were requested of us.
Not to me. I don't have anything on this project.
Was that back in December when?
I just have.
There were things sent in December. There were requests made from Commissioner Frankie.
Well, I mean, I have this, but this has nothing to do with the current T hangar. That's
But
what I'm saying.
there was a request by you in an email with several bullet points that was responded to
Right,
and was submitted.
so I got documents, but I didn't get anything about the T hangar. You're asking me to approve funding about this T hangar project, and you've given me 0 documents
Well,
about.
I mean,
this T hangar
back in
project.
December, we provided to the county commissioner's office and it was approved at that time. I mean,
I have no physical documentation regarding the T hangar. You guys came in and publicly talked to the board about it that day when they approved the funding, but there was no physical documentation provided regarding the project. I know you guys were in the process of revamping the plans to be able to move forward.
there was a
but-
pre-app on December 17th was the commissioner's meeting. The week prior to that, and pre-app was approved by the county commission.
Is that correct, Ms. Blair, to your understanding?
To my knowledge.
So-
there was no
So you never
pre-application
received the
approved.
pre-application, the commissioner's office never received the
No, they
pre-application.
came in to request the funding and the board approved the funding at that time.
I thought you guys sent the language to the prosecutor maybe a month ago about the FAA grant of $586,000.
This information has been circulated since December, Commissioner Flores.
But
I
without
do not have plans. I was-
Previous-
plans.
administrator hopefully he got that information out, so.
Well, I mean, I haven't received one paper about this particular hangar project. So, I mean, my fellow commissioners, have you received any documentation
Yeah,
about
I
this
actually,
project?
Rick actually had shown us drawings of it,
Okay,
actual schematics of what the layout was going to be.
And
were those like sent to your county email? How?
It was, no, I saw it, I believe, from him. And I can't recall right now if it was presented to us in session or how, but, this has been something that we've discussed along before December.
Oh, yeah, it's been going on for over a
This
year.
is way before
Okay.
December.
Yes.
Have you provided any documentations regarding the financials for this project? Like, I mean, even like a napkin with some numbers on it? I haven't seen.
I mean, we'd have to go back and check our emails,
Okay,
but
great.
we have submitted information.
Okay,
I mean, I'm
let's
taken
do
aback by
that. Let's
this.
do that public records request and see what's been submitted. I would love to have the same documents.
I mean, it's all right here. I mean,
I'll take it.
And this is the estimate of the, excuse me, I'm stammering because you caught me off guard. This is the engineer's estimate for the TN project.
Great. I mean, this is my first time seeing this.
And I think I picked that up from Rick a couple of months ago, what you just.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, the only thing that we received was the list of the documentation that you had sent to them in the email that had your list of outstanding projects and stuff that you wanted to go along with that.
Which was this list,
Agreed.
which has been submitted.
Correct, but there was no, like, you were in the process of revamping your bid specifications for the project, and then I never received them personally. So I know that Commissioner Spitaleri and Commissioner Dvorak both went to the Airport Authority individually and met with you about the project.
Mhm.
You know that because that was talked about in December. But physically receiving any actual paperwork on the project, I have not personally received any.
I mean, I would also be interested in seeing like the finances for this once it's built. So I mean, I see this is what it's going to cost,
Mhm.
but then what are you charging for rent? What are utilities going to cost? What is the maintenance going to cost? What does this long-term look like? Because I mean, in the documents you did provide me, I'm looking at this current hangar you have. Let's see which one. It's the Alpha hangar, and you're losing almost $2,000 a year on that project is cash flow negative. So why would the commissioners invest further money to buy another hangar when your current hangar is losing money every year? I mean, these are your own documents you're providing.
I understand.
I mean, that's like saying I have a widget factory, it's losing $1 million a year. Will you invest in my second
Long-term,
widget
that
factory?
long-term, that hangar will produce millions of dollars of
Okay,
revenue.
so
to the county.
show me those documents to prove that to me.
Okay.
And show me that for this new hangar too, because all I have right now is this document telling me you're losing money and you want to build a new hangar that's also gonna lose
$3,800 a month positive cash flow when the building is paid for.
for what, the old project or
The
the new
new
project?
hangar is approximately $3,800 a month
Okay,
positive.
that's just in rent or that's,
That's just rental income.
okay. Yeah, I mean, these sort of numbers are like helpful to me in making
What?
decisions. And so whatever I can get as far as
We
numbers.
will go back and check our communications because we have sent information to the county for this project over the last year.
I mean, that may be true, but I know what I have and I have
You're
nothing.
new by 2 months, ma'am, and I apologize. The information sent to county commissioners over the last year maybe should have been forwarded to you that's already in the office.
I mean, but Ms. Blair is saying that there isn't information in the office.
She just said there was.
No.
No, you sent the email that you have in your hand
Mhm.
directly to all of them.
Mhm.
And she was part of that. I'm talking about the actual schematics and the breakdown of the actual T hangar project, like information about the actual project.
Mhm.
That was never sent to me.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying is Commissioner
I mean, we have
Spitaleri
to go
and
back.
Commissioner Dvorak met with you guys individually at the airport, but it wasn't done openly so that I would have received it. That's all I'm saying.
and I apologize for not giving you a copy of mine, hard copy that I got from Rick. And again, in December and January, it was a lot of changes within our office.
When we come to a county commissioners meeting and we have papers in our hands, we discuss them. I mean, that's providing information.
Okay, but everybody else provides me documentation
I
ahead of
get
time,
it,
and then
I
I
get it.
read those documents ahead of time, and then I'm
I
prepared to
get
ask
that.
questions. and I can analyze it, because I mean, I can look at your old, like, you gave me this about the old hangar. And I can look at that and can say you're cash flow negative. Those sort of documents ahead of time are helpful to me.
No, I don't doubt that. And I'm not arguing with that. It's just that we will find information where we have fuller information with the county offices over the last year. I
Okay,
just don't have that in my hands right now.
okay, great.
And again, the issue at hand is if we don't get money by the end of the month and approval, we lose federal funding.
Right.
That's bottom line.
And I don't want to walk away from $586,000 from the federal, from FAA.
Mhm.
And for about 5 months, 6 months, I have enough information for myself to make a motion. And it's not going to be for 1.33. It's a compromise motion to capture the 586 grant from the FAA. But I make a motion to create a resolution to give $800,000 to the airport construction fund. This would be for a new T hangar. These funds, along with the FAA grant of $586,000, would be enough to build a new T hangar. This new T hangar would create a profit of around $38,000 a year. With both the $800,000 and the $886,000, there would be around $50,000 or more to go towards building improvement at the airport. The funds made from this new T hangar would be used for improvements for the buildings around the airport. So I thought about this long and hard. I don't want to walk away from free money from the federal government. And I look at my job as a commissioner, a steward of the taxpayers' property, buildings, and the taxpayers own the property. Our names are on the deed, but I want to be a good steward to our taxpayers, and those are our buildings, and I don't want to have a roof cave in or anything else. I want improvement with the airport buildings and any other buildings in the county. So that's my motion to create a resolution. We'd have it ready for next week. And that way you secure some documentation to the FAA that you have $800,000 along with their grant to create this new T hangar, to create funds to have money to spend and improve the buildings of the airport.
So, Mr. DeBoer, to clarify, are you suggesting there is no agreement then regarding this money between the airport authority and the Board of Commissioners?
That's why I made the motion to create a resolution,
But so
have
that would be,
documentation at this time.
so there would be no agreement saying, specifying exactly how.
I think in the resolution, we can plug in our concerns, but really based on my motion.
Okay.
Is there a second to the motion?
So I'll second that, but with the comment. So I think that where the confusion is coming from, and I think that it's an unfortunate situation with the airport authority getting, kind of thrown under the bus in this one, is that, all three of the commissioners were engaged with the airport commissioners the entire time of this happening. What we were basically looking at doing is to transfer funds to the airport authority for you guys to be able to handle your, process of the dollars that were going to be done. And in December, we all agreed, after individually sitting down with each of with the board, to understand and get a complete understanding of what the project was. I had no questions that the direction we were going was a great direction. And it would have been no different than similar to what we did with the Fair Board, where those dollars were basically transferred for them to handle the project within the fairground of their new poultry building. So as far as the whole building aspect of this, I was making the decision in December, and I know that, the other two commissioners were making that decision based on what we had seen and what you guys had presented to us individually, so that we had a very deep look at everything that was going on. And that's how that whole thing was going to be able to, that transaction was supposed to be made, was supposed to be from us transferring you guys approximately 1.3 million. And then when you guys had the grant come back for that funding, then you would basically put it towards all of your other operations that you know, so dearly need. So I think that that's truly the answer to all of these questions of, did you see this or did you not see this? I saw everything that you showed me, which included the schematics of the building, placement of the building, the costs, and everything for us to be able to feel comfortable at that time to make that decision. So I'm not confused at all with that number. I think that we're still in a position that I don't know, is that $800,000 enough for this project to happen?
That's based upon our estimates, it'll bill us a building. But will it help us fix roofs and add on to the UH living quarters? No.
And is that going to be a sufficient match that we're not going to end up losing if it's based on a percentage? Is our portion not need to be a certain amount to be able to get back a certain amount? Is it based on a percentage of what our match is?
We were allocated so much per year to put towards the project.
Okay,
And I don't believe with the local match that affects that.
okay.
Before the commissioners make a decision, would you like to hear from the business community before we make a resolution?
Let's finish this much.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I'll just say, I'm not against the airport. I'm personally just for the taxpayer. And I mean, everything on this agenda, I start from no, unless I hear otherwise. So every single thing, I mean, unless it's a resolution for the Girl Scouts, I'll just, you know, I'll give that one a yes. But otherwise, I start at no, especially if it's a spending decision. And then I move to yes if I have a responsible, a well-supported case being made. And here there's no case being made. It's just emotional appeals, there's vague assurances, and there's zero documentation. So that's where I'm at right now with this project.
Motion was made and seconded.
Mr. Spiller.
I-
Commissioner Murphy.
No.
Commissioner DeWolf.
Yes.
Thank you. And also of tenant, was also business owner and business tenant of the airport, Mr. Kochi, would like to say a few things.
And he's representing Airwolf.
Yeah, he's a local businessman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Kochi, you have the floor for a couple minutes.
I'm on the agenda. I have all the time I need, right?
Take it away.
Okay. And I don't understand protocol, so I guess I come up here and sit down and talk.
You introduce yourself and state where you live and
Okay. My name is John Kochi. I'm the president and owner of Airwolf Aerospace. I live in Middlefield, Ohio. And currently I'm shell shocked that this whole airport discussion about improving the airport's gone on for a year. And all of a sudden it's a surprise to the new commissioner because things weren't presented in paperwork, even though it's been submitted to the county commissioners. All three of them agreed to this, and it's just a shock. I'm going to start off with, I've been a longtime business owner and a pilot, Geauga County resident. I've been flying at the Geauga County Airport for 50 years. Started in 1975 when at the airport there was one tiny little rundown hangar. I was here when all the hangars were built. I was at a local education function just recently, casually asked when we're breaking ground for the new hangar. And I got, didn't you hear? Commissioners pulled the funding. I was livid. It feels like Groundhog Day all over again. Another new commissioner who runs on a platform or saying she supports the airport, only to pull the rug out from underneath after three previous commissioners, two of which were businessmen, unanimously voted to fund the airport with this major grant. I'm not an expert in contract law, but I know firms that are, and it sure sounds to me that someone's attempting to break a contract with the airport authority. Pilots are smart, successful people. They're precisely what Geauga County should be attracting. Smart, successful people that happen to be aircraft owners and business owners. Are you really saying that smart people stay away from Geauga County? Smart people pay the majority of the taxes, employ the majority of the people. For the past 40 to 50 years, I've seen very little improvement at the airport. Only in the last 10 has there been any major improvements. Hangar repairs that should have been made years ago are still languishing. I'm going to go and address a handout they gave me from the Times Courier, March 13th, titled "Brakey Pumps Brakes on the Airport." All I know is about what I read. I wasn't at the meeting. I know nothing else but I read. So I'd like to address key points that I saw here. The comment was made affirmative obligation to maintain hangars. Really? With what money? These are county-owned buildings on county-owned property. The county has the luxury of a volunteer group of business people who operate their county airport for free and don't receive a penny of compensation. Solely for the good of the county. Yet the county provides zero day-to-day funding. And you have the part-time airport manager that does a fabulous job getting almost $600,000 of hard-fought federal dollars for airport. So what's with the remark that the deal makes no sense because the airport keeps all the revenue? What revenue? The only revenue the airport makes is from rent and fuel sales. Up until a few years ago, only tenants had a key to the fuel pump. If a transient airplane from another county or state flew to Geauga County and forgot to fill up before they left, unless they knew how to find somebody with a key, they were stranded. How is the airport supposed to attract visitors to such an affluent county like Geauga when they couldn't even purchase gas? Wouldn't take your car someplace if you couldn't buy gas. Since fuel sales are major funding for the airport, aren't more fuel sales better? This seems like business 101 to me. The more tenants they have, the more fuel they sell. So 42 more tenants potential that have formally committed to basing their aircraft at Geauga is a really good thing for the county. Why in the world would you make the outlandish statement of welfare for aircraft owners? I'm not smiling. Welfare? How about, hey, commissioners, it's about time you invested in your airport to make it more attractive. Subsidize someone's hobby? Give me a break. County, state, federal dollars used all the time to support marinas where the majority of boat owners own boats strictly for pleasure. I don't look down on them. So why do non-aviation people think it's okay to say we're not going to support the county-owned airport unless it's 100% used by the business community? You said you've got people that the county struggling to pay their property taxes. What in the world does that have to do with improving the airport? Sounds like your frustration with being the county auditor. FYI, I pay over 40% of my yearly income in taxes. You need more business people like me who pay a lot of taxes to benefit this county. Let me digress on the lack of hangar repairs. I am 69 years old and proud of it. The 4 doors on hangar 2, where I keep my airplane, are 18 feet tall and weigh 1,000 pounds each. It takes every ounce of my strength to manually push open all those 4 doors to get my airplane out of the hangar. Once I pull it out, I have to push those blasted doors closed. 4 of them, 1,000 pounds each. At the end of the 50 minutes, I'm exhausted. They should have been replaced years ago. Hangar 3 just got a new door that opens hydraulic with the push of a button. And I was told that new door is coming from my hangar in the improvement package that was just rescinded by the board. By the commissioners, excuse me. Why don't you come out to the hangar and help me open the doors and see how difficult this is to do? You wouldn't put up with it for a second. These are county-owned buildings, and the county has been negligent in modernizing. The doors leak like sieves. The cold winds from the north make it expensive to heat in the winter. The openings at the top of the doors allow the darn birds that crap all over the hangared aircraft, and bird poop is very corrosive to aluminum. I'm not blaming the airport authority, as they're doing the best they can operating your airport with no funding. So why are you trying to blame them for the county's negligence? You're turning down $600,000 of federal dollars that will go to improving the airport and finally get much needed maintenance to justify by stating I wouldn't be wasting $1.3 million in a hangar that would be completely full of tenants. That's the definition of insanity. Expecting a different result doing the same thing over and over again, which is not funding the airport and saying, why don't business people use it? You use the word fallacious. Definition to me is fallacy, tending to deceive or mislead. How in the world could you make such a malicious statement? There's no intent to mislead. The intent is to indicate to the commissioners that the county airport is good for the community. Aircraft are time machines. The only one thing that no one can make more of is time. An aircraft lets business people travel to out of the way places on their schedules, not some airliners that take a full day to get somewhere and get a full day back. I'll give you a perfect example. 2 weeks ago, the director of maintenance of Mercy Flight in Buffalo approached me at a recent World Helicopter Convention in Dallas and said they were having a terrible time with their battery life and terrible time with their battery life, and wanted to know how soon we could provide a solution for their 4 new helicopters that they just spent $60 million on. There's a nonprofit organization there to save lives. I said our plate was really full, but when you get a chance and you get one of your ships up for maintenance, I could see if I could come up there and look at it. Then I get a call last Wednesday saying the ship would be available on Thursday. Could I be there first thing in the morning to look at it? I said, man, it's really short notice, but I'll be there. Our plane was in the maintenance, so I took our helicopter. Left at 8, arrived at 9, talked till 10, arrived back in Middlefield, 11:30. Had a quick lunch and got to spend the next 5 hours working productively in my office. I could have never done that using airlines or driving. I picked up 5 hours that day. Once we get this thing approved, we work with the FAA. We have a new product coming out. As soon as we're done, we'll be visiting Geauga counties all over the Midwest, from the Mississippi River east down to Dallas. Our plane allows us to be in Philadelphia in 1 hour and 4 minutes, Mount Airy, North Carolina, 1 hour and 25, Louisville in 1 hour and 18. So when we arrive, we get our work done, we fly right back. Sometimes we make multiple stops. We can still get back that night. That's never going to happen using the airlines. And in case you haven't read the latest news, the airlines just stopped allowing anyone to fly standby on an earlier flight. So all those business people who finished their work early, have been barely tolerating the airline service, will start researching options, which is business aircraft ownership. There's nothing new to the same thing happened 20 years ago. When airlines do stupid things, business aviation grows. You say you won't support any improvements in the airport until you hear from business community. I am speaking for the business community and tell you, if you want to attract more business to the airport into the county, you need to make major improvements to the airport, which includes lengthening the runway. Until it's a bare minimum of 4,000 feet and ideally 4,500 feet, the operators of today's corporate aircraft, which are primarily small, very efficient, very quiet jets, will not use this airport. In fact, the electronic charts that they use to land at an airport in bad weather do not show any airport with at least 4,000 foot of usable runway. So for all intent and purposes, the Geauga County Airport does not exist to business aviation. Our company operates one of the largest twin-engine jet-powered aircraft with propellers. It's called a turboprop. It's the same type of aircraft used by commuter airlines for years until the majors convinced the public they should only fly in airplanes without propellers. Those are called jets. The advantage of having propellers is when we land in short runways like a Geauga County, we can use our propellers as air brakes to slow down. And it's the same feeling you get in an airliner when they put their thrust reversers on and makes you lurch forward in the seat. The only problem is all these new highly efficient private jets, which obviously all the turboprops, only have wheel brakes to stop their aircraft, which means they need longer runways. The pilot who flies our aircraft also flies other aircraft owners as a contract pilot. He currently flies a business jet for a local resident every Tuesday and Friday and back and forth to southern Alabama. He'd have been here today, but he's on his way to Alabama. The owner asked him if he was a closer airport for him to base it at, meaning Geauga, and he said, nope, runway too short. There are many Geauga County businesses that have a corporate aircraft. They need to be hangared at Geauga, have just happened to be hangared at Geauga County or Lost Nation or Akron. They need a longer runway. When I was at the airport the other day, Rick Blamer told me that the hospital, which we have the great fortune of having an EMS hospital based at the county, would love to have a place to park their squad when they come to visit the crew. Because right now, they have, if they come to visit the airport, either in the summer or the winter, they have to leave their squad running 24 hours. They can never shut it off because they have scheduled drugs inside. Can't do that. I said, now I happen to own a helicopter, excuse me, an EMS service in Florida. So I'm keenly aware of what hospitals need for service. They need a building to put their squad in. They are currently, I guess, existing in a, you wouldn't know this, but a rundown construction trailer that the county granted them, gave them to use as their crash pad. That's it. This little teeny thing. They need some better facilities there. Middlefield Township put a nice facility in for the community care that lets them put their squads inside. So they don't have to run the engine. How environment unfriendly to have to run the engine constantly because you have to keep the ambulance cool or keep it hot. They need improvements. Another close friend of mine, I'll digress, also is a contract flight who flies 6 different small jets for local business and said it, in addition to not using Geauga County because of its short runway, he would also discourage the businessmen from using our airport as it has no amenities. Pilots get paid to wait while their businessmen do their work. He said he could think of nothing worse than having to sit in an open area in a hard chair for 6 hours waiting for his client to show up so he can leave. He said the county needs to make it look like they want pilots to use the airport and not chase them away. He said if he had any say on where to land, he would tell his group to use a different airport. Not a very rosy endorsement for Geauga County. You made the statement that tells me the market is not functioning. When you have a high demand, you should, when talking of hangars, when you high demand, you should higher your prices. Unless the whoever wrote the article doesn't understand grammatics. I don't quite understand, but I get the point. I have no idea what your background is, but it's obvious to me you have no clue how to run a business or think like a business person. I'm dumbfounded that someone would actually say the solution to a problem of too many people waiting for hangar space is to raise the rates so high that you chase away everybody until only the highest bidders get a hangar space. It's nonsense. What we have here is even better than the famous saying of the field of dreams. Build it and they will come. We have people here committing to a hangar saying, how long before I can use it? There's 40 people, 34 people on a waiting list, and only 8 people get to use the hangar. The county needs to understand there's going to have to be more hangars built. You made a statement that you haven't seen the facts or figures and how it helps the kids. Get that at all? Seemed kind of short-sighted. First of all, and again, I go back to this shock that I just witnessed here, that the commissioners say they didn't see anything formal in writing about plans for airport expansion that's been talked about for a year and are holding up funding because of that. I'm baffled. So back to the kids. First of all, I commend the local airport community in its aviation chapter 5. If we're talking about kids, because it was brought up here, in their relentless quest to get kids involved in aviation. I wish I could do more to help them, but I have no spare time. However, I sit before you, let me say this correctly, grammatically. I sit before you as one of those former kids that she didn't speak very highly of in the article. At 17 years old, I took a learn to fly class at the Geneva High School, where on graduation, we got to fly and control a real airplane, and I was hooked. I started flying when I turned 18. In fact, I was the first pilot that was trained at former Firebird Aviation, which was based at Geauga County. I was the consummate airport bum. I spent every minute of my days off at the airport doing whatever I could to be around airplanes, and most importantly, pilots. I quickly saw I wanted to be around pilots, never realizing that it eventually led me to create a business that caters to pilots. There is no one I'd rather be around than a pilot. They possess all the fine qualities that make a difference in the world. I will openly state that Commissioner Ralph exhibits these fine qualities. He's smart, he's a pilot, and he's a very good businessman. Instead of trying to twist his strong advocation, as was quoted here, for the improving the airport as some absurd conflict of interest conspiracy theory, the public and the other commissioners should take notice that smart people know the airport is an asset to the community. I know when you'll take notice is when you start funding the airport. I will end by saying that I've built a very successful business that specializes in manufacturing and distributing our own proprietary aircraft parts around the world. What a great success story. A local resident who becomes a pilot, discovers a niche in aviation, builds a successful business catering to aircraft owners, which allowed him to become an aircraft owner himself, and who has friends all over the world from the business based in little old Geauga County. What could be cooler than that? End of story.
Thank you for your comments.
You're very welcome. Good job. If anybody's here from the media community, I would welcome to know, so I'll pass them on to you.
Yeah.
Send your email.
Yeah.
Make a motion to go in executive session.
But you need to state the reason why.
Purchase of property.
Purchase of property.
Can we get the language?
Yeah, we need the ORC section as well. Do we have it?
You're welcome.
One and E2. I didn't know about it in advance.
I didn't either.
Just a report from you within properties and stuff.
I think Ralph has something he wants to talk to you guys about.
Okay, got it.
So do I have a motion?
That's four. I made a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Spitaleri?
Aye.
Commissioner Brinkley?
Aye.
Commissioner Bowman?
We are now going to executive session.
59?
And with no action from this last meeting. Okay,
Just for,
anything else?
I have nothing further.
just for clarification, I was correct. It was ORC 121.22G2 to consider the question.
Good memory.
Okay.
Thank
Great.
you.
So now, we'll go into public comment, and whoever stands up and speaks, they get 2 minutes. Introduce yourself, your name, and where you live. Patty.
My name is Patty Fulop, and I live at 14994 South State Avenue in Middlefield, Ohio. I came today in hopes of commending this board on financing the needs of the airport. I'm still commending you on at least putting forth a resolution to get to that point. A few years ago, well, quite a few years ago now, there was a conglomerate of experts that put together a plan and a vision for the Geauga County Airport. Those experts consisted of airport managers, airport board members, this commission that signed off on all of the plans. There is an FAA program manager, an FAA community planner, an FAA specialist on environment. There was a couple people from ODOT Office of Aviation, and there was a team of engineers that put everything together for us. And during the process, we had a steering committee, an advisory committee, and public input to put the plans together. Out of those plans came 3 incredible documents. The first is a master plan. The master plan says, here's where we are, here's where we want to go, and these are the steps we're going to take to get there. And it takes into consideration things like the critical aircraft that are there, things like FAA regulations. And then from that document comes another document. That document is the airport layout plan. The airport layout plan gives us a series of maps and drawings that says, this is our airport, this is the surrounding area and our county. This is what we want to do with the airport to comply with that master plan. And those documents have been available for a very long time.
When were those documents done?
2013, the last one was signed
And how
by this commission.
could we access them?
They are here or should be here because I sent them myself here.
Okay. I mean, I asked because I actually asked for a strategic plan or a master plan, and all I got was like a wish list. So I was looking for something like that. And
While you're saying that, also there is a third plan that is the airport capital improvement plan that is
Yeah.
revised every year. And this commission, on the top of that plan, is T hangers. We have gone through 20 years of those plans, and we are to the point now where the commissioners need to make an investment into the airport and fund those T hangars. And I do want to commend you for at least taking the next step. We need to get this put to bed. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Doug. State your name.
Skip Claypool, Geauga, or Chesterland, Ohio. I want to commend this group of people, the airport folks that showed up today, and John for making a fine presentation. I'm a former air traffic controller, a former Air Force veteran, a pilot, and I was a county commissioner, as you all know. By the way, Carolyn, I have a copy of that master plan if you're interested. It's in my files, already at home, but I can get you a copy of that. But what has John talked about a little bit, and I applaud you, Carolyn, for your looking out for the taxpayers and so forth. But it is a real hard case, and I don't want it to be missed. The ancillary benefit to the community of Middlefield and Geauga County. Airports are an asset. And we don't talk about, sometimes it's hard to put the numbers together for all of the benefits that the county derives out of an airport. And so Patty and I had talked earlier about all of the groups and the kids that go out there and the community that goes out there in the annual air show and so on and so forth. How many people have touched on learning to fly and go out there and they go out to the EAA group that's out there and building airplanes. The community gets so much benefit out of this asset that you can't really put into numbers. We talked about these, we started this conversation 10 years ago, 12 years ago about the hangars. Those hangars will be a tremendous amount of benefit to the airport and help to further its interest. I hope that at some point in time we can purchase some property and extend those runways to bring more utility. But you see Middlefield growing right now. There's a lot of companies going into the Middlefield area. They can use that airport, even if it's a light or a twin turbo or something, to get in and out of there to bring their executives back and forth. That airport has a lot of benefit.
Okay, next.
For this,
Mr. Otto.
thank you.
Joe had his hand up first.
My name is Joe Otto, Munson Township, and I don't have the credentials a lot of these people have, and I did have some questions. Number one, where I see a problem is that we have a business with the airport, which some people think is a balance sheet business. It should show black at the bottom. The other people, like myself, think that it's an asset to the community and should be promoted. I am strongly, and I have to clear this up because I've gotten questions from Rick and other people what my position was. I'm strongly in favor of improvements at the airport, strongly. Right now, what I'm seeing, it reminds me of an old Led Zeppelin song, Ramble On. I do a lot of rambling on. You've heard it today a couple of times. We start throwing out opinions and somebody mentioned, aviation airplanes are a visceral thing. They're love affairs more than they are anything else, I think. It was for me at least. What I want to see is when you say I want to give you 800 or 1,000,003 is let me see the documentation that supports that. Simple as that. Basic business is, for instance, we have a T hangar being proposed for eight slots. Somebody says, well, it's $4,000 a month. How many contracts do we have to occupy those hangars? It may be very worthwhile. But we also may have 30 people with 172s or 150s or something that need T hangars. And we can maybe get more money out of it and serve our community better. I strongly agree. The airport is an asset. It's not necessarily a balance sheet entity. It helps the community like I brought up the last time I was here, just like a school system. School system, you cannot say the school system has provided this much income to the county.
Thank you.
But it's a valuable part.
Thank you.
My name is Greg Gilstrom. I'm a board member of the GCAA. I'm a retired CEO who spent the latter half of his career in business jets. I have 13 assembly plants throughout the Midwest. There was no way I could reach those plants on a daily basis or even on a weekly basis without being able to fly into these rural locations that contained our plants. What I want to talk to you about today is the distinction between maintenance and capital. When you fix a roof, that's maintenance. You fix a hole in the roof. Today, we have hangars 4 and 5, which are over 50 years old, which have provided 50 years of revenue to the county. And now we need to replace those roofs. Everybody sitting here has a roof over their house. Does it last 30 years? Maybe, if you're lucky. The roof we have today is 50 years old. The opportunity cost that we will suffer is the fact that it brings in a lot of revenue every year. And pretty soon, we're going to have to do something with those hangars. When I did the calculations the other day, if we could extend the life of this very, very old set of hangars, it would provide $1 million of revenue. What's the investment? About 90 grand. So that's about rough numbers, that's about 1,000% return on investment. So we just need to distinguish between maintenance and capital. At some point, the building wears out. You can't keep patching the roof. Thank you.
Perfect.
I'm glad you practiced that. Yeah. Go
My
ahead.
name's Don Cunningham. I actually live in Mesopotamia Township, but I work out of Geauga County Airport. I graduated from Fargo High School in 1968, the same year the airport was built and dedicated. My senior year in high school, Pittsburgh Institute of Aeronautics came into the school and we're looking for mechanics. I was looking for something in mechanics, went to Pittsburgh, graduated out of Pittsburgh, and got a job with Pratt & Whitney Aircraft down in Florida. I worked with Pratt & Whitney for 12 years. I had a short stint with Boeing Aircraft. My father was a drainage contractor in the local area. He brought me back to Ohio because he was up to retirement age. And that's the same year I bought my first airplane. It was a Cherokee 180. I paid $8,000 for it. There's no way you can buy that airplane today for that kind of money. I have my A&P license, airframe and power plant. The whole time I owned the airplane, I did my own maintenance. And while I worked at Pratt & Whitney, I did maintenance on a lot of other aircraft as a part-time thing. That's where I got my start in aviation. I flew from Florida to Geauga County. First time I flew there was 1972.
Sir, your
And there
2
were-
minutes are up. Sorry. You only get 2 minutes. That's why I have to. Yeah, sorry.
My 2 minutes?
Nope.
No?
Well,
That's not allowed in the public comment policy.
if you'd like to speak, you get 2 minutes. Granted.
You can't give it to other people though.
David Tyler, 13039 Clear Destroy Road, Burton. I use the airport, and I have aircraft there. As far as aircraft, let's see, one's a 1946 and one's a 1965. So we don't all own shiny new airplanes. But I use the airport as a base to fly Angel flights. I also own a part-time instructor for the Glider Club and some power plane. The airport is a spawning ground for aviation careers. One of my students, Katie Gross, she's working in the aerospace industry. Another one of my student pilots was Andrew Whiting. He's working for NetJets now. I'm instructing a 14-year-old girl that just soloed in a glider that her goal since she was 7 years old was to fly for Samaritans first. You know, she's going to do that. And she's going to do it as her start at Geauga County Airport. She travels an hour and 20 minutes to come to the Glider Club to get a lesson because she loves that airport and it's the best place for her to learn. So it's like a lot of people say, you can't really quantify everything that the airport does and see what the place become of it. We just can't see all that. But anyway, that's all I have today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Diane Jones, Auburn Township, and this has been an interesting discussion. My comments will be brief. We have to leave for another engagement, but I do have some documentation for Mrs. Brakey, and this involves a considerable amount of research and checking over last many years. And the other one question I have, which remains in my mind, is that if the airport is collecting all this income from gas receipts, et cetera, and is also, you know, the recipient of 3,600 plus per month loan payback from the commissioners, why is it not at this point, more than 10 years later, self-sufficient? And I'm not asking for an answer. That's just the question I will leave it with. It's been interesting, this meeting. We always learn things. And for my comments, this is for Mrs. Brakey's examination.
Thank you, Mrs. Jones.
Oh, sorry, arms are short. I'm
Sorry.
sorry, everything else. Thank you.
Okay, is there any other comment?
Howard, South Russell Village. We had an airport at one time. It's long gone. Auburn Township had an airport at one time too. It's long gone. Let's not let the Geauga County Airport go the way the other two airports went. You just can't afford to do things like that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Any other comments?
I'd just like to apologize. The last time I spent more than 2 minutes, I didn't realize there were limits. My apologies.
You're good
That
for
was
like,
my fault, and I heard about it too.
you're good for like a year and a half. You're over your time. But,
Anastasia Nicholas, Chagrin Valley Times. My question's for Commissioner Spaldari. It's not about the airport. Why did you set up your county email on March 18 after 12 years of being a commissioner?
Well, that's not correct. I've had an email pretty much from day one, guys.
Which email is that?
My county email,
When did you set it up so that you could use it?
probably back in 2012.
Apparently you had it set up on March 18th, according to public records.
I had a password updated and it was reinstalled on my desktop.
So you were checking your county email before that?
Sure, I've checked my email before I had this done. Yeah. I know that you had tried to approach me and I guess I'd like to ask you a question is, when did you make a public information request? Do you just like make a public information request on people changing their passwords?
But
I'm asking you a question because I'm gonna be frank with you. And I'm glad you brought this up in the public so that I could possibly expose this. Because I refuse to talk to you because every time I talk to you outside of the public that I give you a statement, what you report and what I told you is selective hearing of what you want to hear and write. So I refuse to talk to you.
Commissioner, that's incorrect.
Well, that's your opinion, not mine.
That's your opinion.
Mine is fact of what I'm telling
No, it's
you,
not.
because I know what I have told
That's
you in the
never
past and I see what you report. So to further this, okay, I'm going to explain to you what one of the situations that we have had here in the commissioner's office over the last 3 years. We have had situations where I know that myself, Commissioner Lennon, and also Administrator Morgan had our emails entered in where we physically watched one day here in the office where emails were basically showing being opened and then being closed again. Okay, so it's real interesting that all of a sudden you come up to me and say that, you know, that I had X number of emails on my email. But what you're basically doing is this. I'm going to ask for an investigation, probably with the sheriff's office, to investigate this because you're going to be a witness of who told you this. Because whoever's telling you this is probably who's been behind opening emails. Okay, we have sensitive documents in our emails of attorney-client privilege. And those emails are basically, somebody is getting into my emails, which obviously they got into my email to be able to tell you what my unread email is. Most of that email, it's no different than your personal email. There's J.C. Penney ads, Kohl's ads, and every other thing in there that'll fill your email with thousands of stuff that I don't even look at. But what I will tell you is this, is there are also some attorney-client privileged emails that go along with those, that whoever is getting into there, and it's, and you by your statement have proven that that's happening.
No, I don't think so. And if.
And how do you not think so?
If they were privileged, then why do you use a Yahoo email?
That I basically, I have a Yahoo email that I get agenda. If people send me stuff, I can't stop you from sending me, for sending me stuff on my Yahoo email.
Is it not true that you do county business on your Yahoo email?
I don't do county business on my email. If I check an email that comes through on my personal email, I read it.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, thank you for giving that response.
Well, and I'm going to tell you that, you know, I appreciate you bringing this to my attention also because of the fact that this is definitely a situation where you're part of the situation here of being a witness to who it is that probably is going into our systems.
It's a public record that I requested because I've never been.
Okay, so let me ask you, so you just decide to, one day to request a public record of my email being reset?
It wasn't, to my knowledge. It was
I might have been
for
born
the
at night,
first
but
time.
not last night. Okay, so don't insult me with your nonsense. That you all of a sudden were told that you just out of the blue woke up one morning and requested information about my county email and my password being reset.
My question was, why are you not using your county email?
My answer to you is as I am. Yes. Good enough?
I didn't really get an answer. I don't.
Well, and once again, here we go with your selective hearing. I said yes. You know, you're gonna sit in here and basically say this. I've had email set up since 2012 when I came here as commissioner. And I made the choice personally to not effectively engage myself with that email until County Administrator Morgan left. Because I had it basically, when I came back and saw that, I was not going to get engaged into my email at all, so that I could testify under oath to say 100% that I had no access, no involvement with my email at all during that course of time if there was any allegations made to me. Because I could tell you this, I saw it with my own two eyes, Jerry Morgan saw it with his own two eyes, and Commissioner Lennon saw it with his own two eyes, that county emails are being read, opened and read in this county. And it's a problem. And it's a problem that you have basically made it very clear that it's a problem. And whoever's telling you that is probably involved in opening the emails. So I appreciate you bringing this to my attention because now I can act on it.
I appreciate the explanation.
Thank you.
Any more public
See that in the
comment?
Newspaper now too. These problems that have occurred should be
He already
written
knows
up
too
in the newspapers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. With seeing no other public comment, I have one thing that I'd like to bring up is that there's a CTA meeting April 9th in Munson. And I make a motion to, if she can make it, Amy Bevan, our next administrator, to attend that meeting. That's my motion.
Second.
You talking about the Township Association
Yeah.
dinner?
Yeah.
There's a cost for that, right?
We have it set up that,
I was gonna go, but she could go in my place. I
yeah,
don't see why she
that was
couldn't.
what, that was, I think, what the agreement was when we originally set the RSVP.
I figured she would be on board by then, but
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
that may not be the case.
Okay.
So if she
But
can
there is
go,
a,
yeah.
there is.
If she can go, then she'll go. If not, you'll attend.
And I'm not opposed to both of them wanting to attend also, that then they could, you know, introduce her to different people also.
Sure.
I think the RSVP date has passed, but we could try.
Yeah, we can try.
Just give it a try.
Okay, so Commissioner Spudler.
Aye.
Commissioner Brackey.
Aye.
Commissioner DeWort.
Yes.
Okay.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.